Crime time
with my bestie. I'm Anna Etches, and this is Jess Vandertack, and this is Crime Time with my bestie. Hi, bestie.
Hi, bestie. We said it in sync.
Did we? Oh
I
my
think
gosh. So. Go us. I hope we did. If not, I'm editing it together so we are in sync. Because that's always what I want at the end of the episode. When we say bye, I like the last bye when we're in sync and we're just like, it just goes, bye. It just...
I tried really hard in the last episode I was editing to do that because you were really insistent that you wanted us to sync up and I couldn't do it, and I'm sorry. I don't know how.
Oh no. Well, we can try. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, it's fine. It just sounds so good. It just sounds so good in my headphones.
But yeah. Hi, bestie.
Hi, bestie. We are gonna try. I think we just changed the structure last week or 2 weeks ago? But we're changing the structure again. We're gonna do very short, chatty bit, and we are gonna do good news. So we're gonna do good news for Jess, good news for me, and then good news in the world. And then we're gonna get straight into the case because it's quite a long one this week.
There's nothing bad about our Ask These Besties or Ask These Friend questions to your bestie. They are funny, but we're in a bit of a downward spiral of life where everything is sort of being thrown at us. So finding good things to talk about is kind of nice, and it uplifts us and makes us feel good. As well as the podcast topics can be quite hard.
Quite rough.
Yeah, quite rough. True crime is a rough space to navigate. So we thought we'll start the episode with a nice thing that is happening to us lately, and then a nice thing in the world, like you said. So I'm excited. As well as you've just told me that you found the nice thing to tell me in the world news, and it's a surprise, and I'm quite excited.
Yeah, Jess doesn't know this one.
So my good news was that this weekend I did my sign language choir performance at a big theatre near to us, and it was actually really, really good. It went really well. There was a crazy amount of people there that I didn't realise were part of the choir, because there's essentially 3 sort of groups that all come together, so much that we didn't have enough room on stage to fit us all. Basically, we had to kind of curve us all round to fit us on, so it was very impressive.
Oh my gosh. You haven't sent me pictures yet. I want to see pictures.
There are videos. I haven't seen them yet. I need to send them to you. But I'm also nervous that I'm messing up, because even when signing...
I wouldn't know.
That's it. We wouldn't know. I don't think my sister knew when she was recording them, because there was a few mess-ups, but I was actually very, very happy with my overall performance, because it was 19 songs or something crazy that I had to remember. And for a person that doesn't know sign language, I'm basically just flying by the seat of my pants and hoping for the best. So, yeah, that is my good news.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. What about yours? What is your good news?
My good news is, well, good point of the week is that me and Katie went to Legoland on Saturday, and we bloody love Legoland.
I love the fact that you went to Legoland as an adult. I've only been with nieces and nephews, and
no, it's so good as an adult.
On board with the vibe for an adult.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, me and Katie don't like roller coasters. So that's the thing. You like thought park and
like
things.
A roller coaster.
Those places make more sense to you. But for me and Katie, if it is marketed to a toddler or up to about 5 years old, we are so on board with it. Our favourite ride on there is called Storytell Brooks. The little boat that just goes round and round. There's a little at one point. It's so good. I love it. No, our actual favourite is Flight of the Sky Lion, which is the...
that one.
Oh, it's so... You should. And it's not just because it's marketed for... It is marketed for older, but you're in this... It's meant to be you're in a gondola and you sit down, everyone's sat in a row, and then it twists you round and you're in a kind of like a 4D theatre thing. So you're meant to be immersed in this flight of a sky lion. But you go through various places, you're attacked by a couple of other characters, and you're going up and down, and it moves the car a little bit, and it's your feet are hanging over a bit, but you're in a seat, but you're not actually going anywhere, so it's not too scary. So it's kind of but then you go in water and they spray you with water. It's like a 4D type thing. It's really good.
Nice.
It always has a long queue. So yeah, that was my good thing.
That is good. That does sound like a good thing. I like it. I was going to say, I must admit that when we've been before, where we've been to kid-centric kind of theme park. So we've done Portons Park, which has Peppa Pig World, and typically I've got a niece and nephew, and so when we go on rides with them, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I want Mummy and Daddy," or "I want Uncle Sam and Auntie Jess." And there might be more adults than there are children. And if it's like a ride where it holds two, and therefore you basically take up an entire ride
Yeah.
just for you with no child, the dirty looks you get from parents because you've basically made them wait another go is quite a lot, because they look at you like, I could have gone on that with my kid, and you, the lone adult, is taking up a space. And I'm like, well, I'm enjoying riding George the dinosaur, so
Exactly. Me and Katie do not care. We're like, woo! We love it. It's because we don't like the big roller coasters. And this is, I don't know, Legoland is like our favourite place. It's just the right amount of everything. So yeah. Do you want to know the good news in the world?
I do. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited to tell you this one. Unique antibodies from camels and alpacas could be used to treat Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's so good. That's really cool.
Isn't it? It's so cool.
That is a really good news.
I haven't clicked on it. I might keep it up and then
don't read it.
On the...
Keep it.
No, not right now. Yeah, but like later
I was gonna say,
on.
Unless it ends up like being completely wrong and we've ruined everybody's day with false information. But that sounds really nice. Thank you.
It's on the goodnewsnetwork.org.
There we go. And a source to go with it, because we basically planned to do this all of about 20 minutes ago. We were like, let's do something different at the beginning. But yeah. Which leads me into the other thing to do at the beginning, is if you want to catch more of us, not just in your ears, then you can check out our socials, where we are Crime Time with My Bestie on Instagram and TikTok. And you can also listen to the podcast, which you're already doing, obviously. But if you didn't know, we are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all of the things.
Yeah, and if you do like us, you should rate, review, subscribe, or whatever the cool kids say these days, because I forget every single time. Give it a thumbs up.
Review, thumbs up, comment.
Tell us how good we are.
Smack someone in the face with it,
If you could yell about our podcast into someone's face, I'd really appreciate it.
It'd be great. So yeah, cool. We're Crime Time with My Bestie, and that was our new attempt at an intro that wasn't revolved around 20 minutes of us rambling like absolute banshees.
We'll ramble later on, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is going to happen. It's fine. But yeah, I suppose with that, it's time to get into your episode, because it's your episode this week.
It is my episode this week. So I need to do a little bit of explaining off the bat. My teasers in the last episode were Florida, weather balloon, and gun. I have changed my case because, and I will tell you for why. So just slotting it in here, trigger warning for suicide when I explain what was going to be my case. My case was going to be Alan Abramson, who when I looked it up originally, I thought it was a fake death story. So I thought he faked his death and he'd done it in a way that involved a weather balloon and all sorts. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting because it's fake. He convinced everyone that he had passed away. He did actually pass away. He died by suicide. So that then meant the case didn't feel like, whereas before it was like intrigue, there is obviously intrigue around it, but it just didn't feel right to cover a case of suicide in this way. So I pivoted last minute.
I think it's valid that cases, like you say, they have to have a level of intrigue, but from the sounds of it, even though it does sound like an interesting case, it has a very unfortunate outcome. So I think it's fair for you to change it.
Yeah, I mean, all of them have unfortunate outcomes, but I don't know, it just didn't feel right.
Do you have teasers for your new case?
I do have teasers for my new case. So my new teasers are delivery driver, Scottish border, and bike. Do you have any ideas?
No, I'm waiting for the day where our teasers somehow unintentionally overlap. And I've always wondered whether it'd be better to come into the episode with more research, because I suppose, as found by the case that you've had to drop, if you'd had the research beforehand, you might have known a little bit more about the context. I'm sure you did research, but probably just enough to sort of determine teasers.
Give you the teasers, yeah.
Whereas when you start getting into the nitty gritty, that you really find out all the, crazy details or things in the background that you might not have realised just from reading a sort of one source. So when we provide our teasers, there's always a moment of like, should I research this case like fully? Should I have my research ready and then have it ready for when we go to record the episode? And we don't pass teasers past each other. I find out your teasers in the episode, so it's always like that moment of like, what if the teasers are the same as my episode? Or like, because I've got
It
my
might
teasers.
happen one day.
I've got my teasers obviously ready for my episode that I haven't researched yet, so it's quite funny. Would you tell me if you realised that your case was like your teasers were the same? But I suppose I wouldn't know.
Well, yeah.
Because
Yeah, no, I would at because if you then told me the whole case, I'd be like, when you came to say, so what's your teasers? I'd be like, well, to be determined, because we've fucked up.
Oh, that's funny.
Because otherwise it would be weird.
Yeah. I think that's why, I don't know if we've ever mentioned them on the podcast, but I think most people would know who they are, which is My Favorite Murder with Karen and Georgia, that basically kind of created true crime podcasting.
Yeah.
Basically.
True crime comedy podcasting.
Yeah, true crime comedy podcasting. They kind of created that niche. I'm pretty sure they have a person. So they both kind of go, oh, I think I'm going to look into this case. And then they send that to the person. And the person kind of has to either be like, yeah, no, Georgia's not doing that, or Karen's not doing that, or whatever. And that's how they deal with it. Whereas we don't have a person.
Yeah.
We just have each other and have to hope for the best. So if I was so prepared that I had basically researched my case already, I don't think we would be as good as friends because we're both a little bit chaotic.
A little bit. A little bit.
So, yeah.
Okay,
I'm excited. So it was Scottish Border, bike, and
delivery driver.
Delivery driver. Sorry, I think I was thinking gun, but that was the hot air balloon.
That was the previous. I've confused everything and everyone.
Okay, I'm excited.
So my sources are Channel 5's documentary, The Child Snatcher Manhunt, Wikipedia, and I mostly used those two sources, but I did pepper in a few things from other sources, but the majority is from those two. But it was also Radio Times, ITV, Daily Record, Murderpedia, and The Guardian.
Weirdly, I don't know why, I always find it oddly strange, even though I know cases happen in the UK when it's UK sources, because in my head I'm like, true crime doesn't happen here. Of course it does.
Yeah, happens quite a bit here.
It happens quite a bit. It's quite a lot of bad.
This one is
quite
bad.
Okay.
Quite bad.
Thank you for the heads up. Please give me your triggers.
Trigger warnings are sexual assault, murder, abduction, child abuse, and drowning.
Sweet. Yep.
Sorry, I just looked at Jess as she said "sweet," and it was a moment of where we were both like,
The sweet is fully sarcastic, and
yes,
that is, as always, it's always good to have the trigger warnings, but every time it is, why are we here? What are we doing with our lives?
What are we doing with our lives? So I am covering the case of serial killer Robert Black.
Sorry. I have to say it because you said it twice. So Anna first said, I'm covering the case of Robert Black, and then had to come back in and then say, no. I must establish that it is the serial killer, Robert Black, so that we just like, off the bat, it's like, this is going to be shit, guys, buckle up.
It's a rough episode. I don't know what to tell you. It just felt like, because I knew I wanted to say serial killer, when I first said it, it felt like I hadn't finished the sentence.
So Robert Black, the serial killer. No, sorry. The serial killer Robert Black.
Stop making fun of me.
I think I would prefer a better title, to be honest. If my full like government name ended up being like the serial killer Jess Vandertak, I think it would be quite it'd be pretty bad.
The serial killer.
I'm not a serial killer.
I don't think he has what's it called?
Like a
where
moniker.
they've got like a name.
Like a moniker?
Is that what it's called?
Like a nickname, a moniker. But it's not spelt like the name like Monica from Friends. I think it's Monike.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, no. Monikeer, a moniker.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't think he has one of them that I could find anyway. So
I mean, some of them are pretty stupid anyways. Like, wasn't there someone that was all about ears? There was one that was like the ear killer. There's obviously like the ones that you know, like the Night Stalker and I Need More.
There was panic in your eyes for a second.
The thing is, I can think of their names, but I can't think of their monikers. So you've got like John Wayne Gacy, who was the clown.
The clown killer?
No, but he wasn't killing clowns. He was a clown.
I don't
I'm
remember.
gonna have to Google it. He was the killer clown. He was not the clown
It's
killer.
close.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, because he dressed up as a clown.
We're doing that thing that we haven't done for a little while, where we don't want to talk about the case, so we're talking about anything but the case.
Yeah, like Monica's.
Okay, like Monica's. I'm gonna get straight into it. This is a rough one, and it is about kids, so I don't know how.
We're probably not going to be very funny, and not going to lie, both of us have had a very shit week again, and you were like, do you know what's going to make my week even better? Researching and talking about it on a Wednesday night. Kid killer, kid something, kid children.
Jess, I pivoted so last minute.
There are case is I have a case and it is not about child killers.
Yes, but I didn't want to I was trying to pick something off of my list and loads of them just didn't feel right. This one didn't feel right, but it felt less wrong than the other ones.
You're very dark. You're a very dark human.
I don't get
It's fine.
I don't get very good results when I Google weird murders like you do. I don't know what you've unlocked in your algorithm, but you get the good ones. I do not. I just get bog standard serial killers.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe you're mad at this.
I'm not mad. Just I feel bad for your brain. I do. It feels like you're.
It is rough up there.
It's pretty rough.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty mean to me. That is a conversation for a therapist.
You mean our True Crime podcast is not your therapy?
It pretty much is. I can't afford an actual therapist. Okay. On the 12th of August 1981, in a rural area in Northern Ireland, at around 6 pm, 9-year-old Jennifer Cardy's parents realised that she had not come home after visiting her friend. They drove 2.5 miles down the road to the friend's house, only to find out that Jennifer had never arrived there. Panicked, they began searching the local area when they realised she was nowhere around. So they went to the local police station and reported her missing. She'd last been seen at around 2 pm. Around midnight, her bike was found 1.5 miles from their house, and they realised she had been abducted. The police that were interviewed on the Channel 5 documentary said that child disappearances were few and far between in that area and at that time, and quickly hundreds of people volunteered to help look for Jennifer, including the armed forces. There were no leads and no clues, and this was in the countryside, so the volunteers would be stretched out across a field, but particularly looking in hedges and outbuildings, whilst the army helicopters scoured the fields from the air. So I felt that was kind of rough.
Yeah, it's not going well.
It's not going well. Despite the troubles happening in Ireland at the time, the news quickly picked up on the case because it was a missing child and it was widely publicised. This carried on for 6 days before, on August 18th, unfortunately, Jennifer's body was found. She was found in a reservoir near a lay-by in Hillingsborough, 16 miles from her home. The murderer had intended her to be found because he had specifically left her in an area near a path where she could be seen. A pathologist assessed Jennifer's body and deduced that she had likely died from drowning, but there was also signs of ligature strangulation on her neck, and there were also signs of sexual assault on her. The road that she was found on was a main road between Belfast and Dublin, a route popular with long-distance delivery drivers. Jennifer was the first victim of serial killer Robert Black.
Sorry, I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either, but it just felt like a moment. I was like,
Pause for suspense. Wait for Jess to think of something funny. Doesn't happen. Carry on.
It's so terrible, and it's not gonna get any better.
Not gonna get any better.
So that's the first case, and I want you to remember her because later on you'll see. I'll remind you when you get there, but later on they kind of disregard her because they don't know that she's connected to Robert Black for a while, so she's not always counted in the count of his victims for a while. On the 30th of July 1982, on the Scottish borders, 11-year-old Susan Maxwell was allowed to walk home on her own for the first time after her tennis game with a friend. However, she did not arrive home. Her mum rang around friends and family members and even drove to the tennis courts, but no one had seen or heard from her. She would have had to have walked down a busy main truck road, is what they called it. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming just lots of trucks go down it.
Yeah, it's probably like a good through route for deliveries and things like that.
Yeah, and it ran from the north to the south. From the start, the police took this as a serious incident and gathered information from the people who had seen Susan walking down this road before a van stopped a few minutes later and she vanished. So, unlike Jennifer's case, they realised it was an abduction from practically the beginning. Once again, hundreds of volunteers, officers, and even search dogs were used to search for Susan over an 80-mile radius from the spot where she went missing. Susan's parents were both journalists, so they were extremely on board with a big.
You okay? Do you need like
No.
a Timothy Shamalam Shamalamu Shalame? Tip of the tip, sting in the lung, tongue, tummy.
Susan's parents were both journalists, so they were extremely on board with the media being around and being an integral part of the hunt for their missing daughter. From the publicity, the police got a lot of engagement and tips. However, they were still using the old index card system to keep track of them. This system had been around for 100 years, and it literally is what it says on the tin.
What year is this again, sorry?
1982.
Seriously?
Yeah, so they'd get a tip on a phone call, they'd write it down on an index card, and then they would just file it. And if you watch the Channel 5 documentary, they've just got boxes and boxes of index cards that they literally like finger their way through. Like, is that right?
Yeah,
you know, when
yeah.
they like
I don't know why
like,
that makes me. I suppose their computers aren't a thing then, or if they are a thing, they're not being used. Like the systems aren't in place to support it. Oh, it's gonna come
or maybe
later.
in a bit. But I want you to remember right now index cards. And it had been used for the last 100 years.
Ugh, the suspense.
It is bad though, isn't it? Like,
It's not good.
You'd never find that information
This is
again.
why there was so many serial killers in the 80s. Because it was just like, and I think you said that the first murder, which was Jennifer, was Ireland. It was Dublin. So, and this is now Scotland.
Yeah.
So that in itself, because I think I was listening
to
it's all over the place. So you're never going to be able to put two and two together because they're not talking to each other. And it happens a lot in American cases where like serial killers would like go from state to state because they didn't talk to each other. Because why would you assume that a murder that is exactly the same as one thing is the exact same thing in another state?
But they wouldn't have even seen that it was exactly the same because they're keeping it on fucking index cards.
Exactly.
So you just wouldn't know because nobody's going to be like, I'm suddenly going to ring Ireland or Northern Ireland and double check what's your murders looking like. Could you go through your index cards? Nobody's doing that. I mean, they should have.
Surprised anybody was alive in the 80s with how easy it was to murder people, or seemingly easy it was to murder people.
Yeah. Well, you'll see in a bit, there is a turning point at one point in this. But yeah, for at least the beginning, he just is just killing and fucking off. I can't remember where I am, but I do have a point that says index cards to say, which is not great for when you have large volumes of information coming in, as we have just discussed, because you're just never going to remember it's there. On August the 12th, 13 days after she went missing, Susan's body was found in Staffordshire, 260 miles away from where she went missing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, again, how they put that together with, I suppose it was the publicity that is what's connected them, but I was going to say with the archaic way that everything was going, I'm surprised that they connected it and she wasn't just a Jane Doe.
If you've got parents in journalism though, I think that probably is more so the driving force, because they've got or likely got connections to get the story wider, whereas maybe Jennifer's case would have only stayed in the local news because
I don't know, they had a daily, was it Daily Mail?
The big paper.
I can't remember.
I suppose the Daily Mail is across bigger.
There was one bigger, like, well-known newspaper, whatever, news anchor that went over there and did it, and he did all of these cases.
Oh, okay.
But generally, yeah, it would have been quite small, probably local, but this got out there, which is good. She was found in a lay-by a lorry driver. She had been bound and gagged, and her underwear had been removed, suggesting that she had been sexually assaulted. Although her precise time and cause of death could not be determined due to decomposition, the coroner concluded that Susan had died shortly after being abducted. So even though she wasn't found for almost 2 weeks, she died probably within 24 hours. And this is a bit, when I was watching the documentary, they kind of just kept going through it, and we vaguely knew about Robert Black, but we didn't know these kind of things. But I put in, because I've already told you who it is, said they would later find out that Robert Black's delivery route over that time included Edinburgh, Dundee, Glasgow, and then back down to London the following day, which is where he discarded Susan's body. Wikipedia also said that one of his colleagues had suspected Robert was involved in the abduction and murder, but when he asked him about it, Robert lied. This is apparently good enough for the colleague because he didn't tell the police.
It'll be quite impressive to, like, I'd love to know what the association was. Like, I'm sure there were lots of delivery drivers with those kind of routes. To immediately jump to the assumption that this guy's a murderer and this girl that's been found on the side of the road is because of him. Like, what the fuck was he doing? Like, what's the murder vibe?
It couldn't have just been the route he was taking.
No, there
it
would
must
have been
have
loads
been
of people that
something
do
that he
that.
was either doing or saying or
Yeah.
whatever. And the fact that delivery drivers don't really, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I assume that delivery drivers don't really work together that much.
They'd be at, like, the depot together. Some delivery drivers, like, obviously they pick up a load. So, like, the lorries will be loaded. No, but they'll be loaded. They won't be, like, driving together, but they'll probably cross paths, like, on the routes and stuff. But, like, most of them will go to the depot and then they'll move out together because, obviously, deliveries will all come in at the same time. They're not going to just have, like, one lorry coming in and then the next day another lorry comes in. They probably will be in that
cross
space.
Paths, but they're not together for that long.
No, not like really... if you're working in an office and you're working like 5 days a week with the same people all the time. Like, you're probably around them a couple of hours a day, and then obviously you're on the road driving. And from the sounds of it, a long drive, because Dundee and that's like from here to Dundee, because I've done it, is 8 hours. So yeah, and I did that in a car and not a lorry, which would have taken longer because obviously you have to.
I think he was in a van, but same.
Yeah.
I know, not same, but like what I mean is he will have still stopped. He would have done deliveries over this time, etc.
Yeah, I'm guessing, like you said, the police just didn't listen, or he didn't go to the police because Robert
He didn't
lied.
go to the police.
But I would love to know if he was ever interviewed. Was he interviewed? He wasn't interviewed.
No.
I'd love to know what his reasoning was, but he probably doesn't want to come out of the woodwork and say it because he would have found out that he basically had an inkling, and whoever dies after this point, because so far we've only had 2, and that doesn't equate to serial killer, that he then feels maybe some form of guilt, the fact that he could have.
I hope so.
I don't think you should feel guilty because there's lots of, like, I'm not saying like you should feel guilty because you didn't say anything. There probably is a level of guilt, but at the same time, if he said anything, would have anything have happened? I don't know, because you'd have to have some evidence.
I just
like you can have an inkling and look at someone and think.
Okay, maybe I am being harsh, but the way this was presented on Wikipedia is that this guy is like, pretty sure you murdered someone.
Right, okay.
Robert's gone, nah, didn't do that. And he's like, well, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
That's how it's presented on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I know Wikipedia is not the best source of everything. However, that was my interpretation, and I was like, you could have done a little bit more digging.
Yeah.
On the 8th of July, 1983, in Edinburgh, 5-year-old Caroline Hogg goes missing. She'd been allowed out to play for 5 more minutes at 7 p.m, where she'd wandered slightly further than she normally would because there'd been a fairground at the end of her road. There were many eyewitness accounts seeing a scruffy-looking man watching children and then subsequently going up to Caroline. She is then seen either walking hand in hand with him or with him paying for her to go on one of those rides. And then, all of a sudden, she vanishes. The police investigate the people at the fairground, and that reveals there is a significant amount of people that had criminal records of a similar nature, like that involve children, which I just put as in my notes of, that is fucking scary.
Yeah, but then not saying that this isn't like putting people in the same basket. I'm not saying people at fairgrounds that work there do these sort of things. But also it probably lends itself quite nicely to being able to sort of be like in the background, if that makes sense. Like, probably traveling quite a lot. You're probably like not on the radar. You're not in the same place at the set like for very long. So
yeah, I suppose I didn't think about the workers. I was more thinking about people going to fairgrounds.
Oh, I thought about workers because I thought that
both is not great.
They're both bad, but I had in my head, well, if it's the workers, then they have a job. Like, they have a job that allows them to be, like, not in the same place for very long. So, like, and they're also around a lot of children because it's fairground.
Yeah.
So.
And I suppose people coming to fairgrounds would be like, there's a lot of children.
Yeah, so all is bad. Everything is bad.
I mean, this is exactly what is happening with the delivery driver. The fact that Robert's a delivery driver is giving him all of this as well. He's not in the same place. He's going here, there, and everywhere. And also, okay, he's not necessarily around children, but he can stop whenever he wants. So if he sees a child, he's just going with it.
Yeah.
I don't know quite how to phrase it.
A crime of opportunity.
Yeah, and that is exactly what they deduce later on. So there was a lot of people with those kind of criminal records at the fairground. However, most of them had no form of transport, so they didn't fit the profile that the police were looking for, because if she's just gone up and missing, they've deduced that he probably had some kind of transport to get her further away quicker.
Yeah.
Extra police were drafted into Edinburgh and 600 volunteers came forward to look for Caroline. A little point here, the documentary said 600, Wikipedia said 2,000. So which is correct, I don't know.
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
Not the 15 that we'd probably get.
2, you and my mum.
Yeah. Katie's like, she'll show up eventually.
She actually would as well. She might walk into her front door, look out and be like, nah, she's not there.
Upstairs like, Anna!
Why? Come on! I've cooked dinner and everything now. My dad's just not noticed that I'm missing. On the 18th of July, Caroline's body was found in a lay-by next to a busy road in Leicester, nearly 300 miles away. Again, there was an indication of sexual motive, but her exact cause of death could not be determined due to decomposition. Once again, in hindsight, we know that Robert Black made deliveries around Glasgow on the day of the abduction and even stopped to refuel in Carlisle. Oh, I put it in a weird way, but basically he made deliveries around Glasgow, stopped, and then disposed of her body the next day.
I thought you said it was in Leicester.
It was in Leicester, but I think he was on his way back down. I think I just didn't write the notes very well.
I was going to say, I was like, Leicester
usual.
is nowhere near Carlisle. Is it?
I think what they were trying to say, or what I was trying to say in that, is that he basically abducted her, was driving around, stopped with her probably in the back of the van, then drove back down south and disposed of her on the way.
Yeah, Leicester is in the middle.
Yeah, it's
between Manchester and Oxford. It's not near, yeah. However, I did, in the process of Googling where Leicester was, did see that there's like a little, on Google, there's like a little icon that says National Space Centre, and I was like, we have a National Space Centre?
We should go. I want to go.
What the hell?
That sounds like fun.
No, right? I bet it's really, like, I've been to actual, like, NASA, and I feel like I might be disappointed in the UK's version of the National Space Centre.
Yeah, I don't think we're known for it being, it's going to be good.
The rockets at the Kennedy Center, I think it's what it's called, in Florida. It's huge.
So. I don't know, I haven't been.
It's really big, I'd recommend it.
Well, it's America, everything's really big, right?
Yeah, but not until you've seen a rocket.
Fair enough. Caroline's body was found just 30 miles away from where Susan's had been found.
Getting sloppy.
Yeah, it's not great.
No. Like, you must have a route, but don't start putting them in the same place.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you are going to be a murderer, don't do this. But also just don't be a murderer in the first place.
No, I know it's completely off topic and we'd have to get into it maybe in a different episode, but there is currently like a really big thing in America where they have found something like 200 bodies in a bayou in like a week. And they're like,
what?
Yeah, I think they found something like 2,000 bodies over like the last couple of years. And they're like, no, it's not a serial killer. And everyone's
in the same
like,
bayou?
In the same place. And everybody's like, no, it's not a serial killer. It's like, that's a lot of bodies. Like,
but is it just one of those like, oh, it's a known dumping ground?
That's still not good. That's still not good.
No, it's not good.
And they're like, but the fact that they're not saying it, they're just not saying. Maybe they're saying it's not a serial killer, but they're not saying they're not saying it's a murderer. They are not saying it's a serial killer. Does that make sense?
It must be more than one serial killer. Like there must be at least a couple of serial killers in that.
But yeah, again, not that we're giving
2,000 individual murderers, surely.
I think that's the numbers. I'm gonna have to eat my own words and have to come back with a correction corner next week, I feel like. Or next episode, sorry.
But you see, even 200, there is going to have been a serial killer amongst that, because I doubt, maybe I could be wrong, but I doubt there is 200 individual murderers dropping bodies off in this place.
It's in Texas. Yeah, it's 200. I was right. It's 200 bodies have been pulled from a Houston, Texas bayou, and they insist there's no serial killer.
In 1 week.
In
Jesus.
Oh, sorry, no, I'm lying. Since 2017.
That is completely
I knew it was years. I must have got the numbers. I made it so
you also
like
said
dramatic.
2000 at one point.
Oh wow. Okay, I apologize. I've corrected my own correction corner immediately. But yeah, even so, 200 people is a lot of people. But like you said, no dumping grounds.
There's got to be at least one serial killer amongst that.
Oh yeah. I know that there's, like you said, typically there is like no dumping grounds for bodies, which is bad that we have places that are like, yeah, this is a good place to dump a body, but also don't be a serial killer and don't be a murderer. Like that would be like my tidbit. Also, don't dump bodies in the same place, because then if you are a serial killer or a murderer, you're probably going to get found out, because they are going to put two and two together and eventually you will be found, like Robert Black. I'm assuming he got found. We haven't got there yet.
Yes, he does get found. I mean, he is at least putting them 30 miles away from each other. It's not super
I suppose it's like literally
not
the same.
They're just,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, Texas is big, so it says the same bayou in Houston. We don't know how big the bayou is, but it could be 30 miles. It could. Texas is huge. I feel like isn't Texas like the entirety of the UK? It's like the UK fits inside Texas.
Yeah, I think so. And with space.
Yeah. So we went off on a very random tangent there, but still, Robert is getting sloppy.
Remember how we said we weren't going to do chatty bits? Well, we did say we were going to do them in the episode. Here we are. Anyway. This led the police to be able to make the link between the murders and deduce that they were dealing with a travelling sex offender who was also a repeat offender. This started one of the UK's biggest manhunts.
I'd love to have been in the 80s and like watching the news.
Honestly, I feel like it would be horrendous.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be absolutely terrifying. Especially like if you've got small children.
You know, like if you turn on the news now and you're like, oh, it's just bad and more bad. I feel like it would be like that, except for it's like serial killer, and serial killer.
I don't know whether, like, with how bad the news is at the minute, I don't know if that would be better. Oh, it sounds horrible. We don't want anything. Alpacas and camels.
Yeah, helping Alzheimer's. This is good.
Yeah,
that's what we've got to hold on to. The officer that was appointed to lead the two linked investigations was Hector Clark. He was confident that they would catch the murderer. They suspected, because also at this point, they think it's just two murders. So remember I said that they would kind of not realise that Jennifer...
if I wasn't... Exactly, but Jennifer was in a completely different country, technically.
Yeah. They suspected that the murderer worked as either a lorry or a van driver, and that because of the distances between the abductions and the bodies being found, that he frequently worked along the Scottish border. Due to the circumstances around the abductions, they believed that the murderer was an opportunist, which is exactly what you said. Well done.
I must admit, though, I know that, like, I didn't finish it, to be fair, and I think I cancelled it anyways, but, like, Mindhunter specifically went into the psychology of a serial killer and the habits and how they create, like, a profile. That's what I wanted to say, profile. However, I'm quite impressed that they've deduced all this from two bodies that have been dumped. They know that, I suppose they have the information of how long ago they died. So you said it was like a week or 2 weeks in between them actually their actual death, because obviously you can check that with pathology. But it's still pretty impressive to be like, oh, well, you know, because of the time between they died and when they were dumped, there's probably going to be further north, and therefore they're going to be the Scottish border, and it's going to be delivery driver. Like, it's actually, like, very good detectiving.
I think it's very good detectiving as well. And the fact that they're just like, okay, well, he's a lorry driver, and he's this, and he's that, and, like,
But it's interesting when they do those things where they create profiles for people where they're like, he will likely be a man or woman between this age bracket, and he'll be a loner or he'll be an extrovert,
Yeah.
or do you know what I mean? When they start like getting these kind of profiles, I'm like, this is really like impressive.
There was a lot more into this profile, that stuff like he was a loner, he did this, he did that. Like, I just didn't include it because I was trying to
No,
trying to
no, it's
reduce
fine.
down my notes, because at one point this was long. But yeah, and also you should finish Mindhunter. It is very good, but they did cancel it. I did enjoy it.
If you watch the latest, is it Monster, the story of Ed Gein, there's a little nod to Mindhunter. Oh, well, obviously Mindhunter is based on a true story, so it's not a
Yeah.
nod to Mindhunter, it's a nod to the true story of the investigators from the FBI. But
Yeah.
it makes me think of Mindhunter more than the actual true story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was kind of sad they didn't use the same actors, and I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Oh, that would have been good. That is a missed
sorry to
opportunity.
disappoint.
Stupid Netflix.
I know.
Stupid Netflix for cancelling Mindhunter.
They've cancelled so many good shows, and they've kept from so many garbage ones. Like, not.
Yeah.
I know I like some of the garbage. Like, I do really like some of the trash TV.
Yeah.
But Love is Blind can end. I'm sorry. I'll put it out there.
I think we put it out there now that we know Love is not blind.
But anyways, yeah, Netflix, bring back Mindhunter.
Listen to this podcast, Netflix, and bring back our favourite shows.
Yeah, well, obviously thousands of listeners will be able to get Netflix on board.
Maybe one day. Both girls were abducted on a Friday, so the investigators interviewed a number of drivers from transport companies about their whereabouts during this time. Unfortunately, this did not bring about any results. So I kept that in. I know that that's a bit of a non-point.
No, it's interesting to know what was done as part of the investigation, because it's like, we tried this avenue and we didn't find anything.
Yeah, the thing is, for once, I won't really knock the investigation. It sounds like they did quite a lot, but it just kind of presented nothing. Hector Clark decided that to update the card filing system that they'd been using for Susan's case and computerized it in a way that made all police forces be able to access it. This was the very first computerized database that the police had. Initially, it just started with these 3 cases, but the database expanded and held information on over 189,000 people, 220,000 vehicles, and details of 60,000 interviews. Because of this database and the investigations into these killings, several unrelated crimes, including those of child abuse, were solved.
That's impressive.
And it does actually help this case as well. But I just thought that was really interesting because this was a major turning point in UK history with how they did things and how they could connect things. And you called it earlier because you were like, oh, what about computers? Well, they did eventually use them. On the 26th of March in 1986 in Leeds, 10-year-old Sarah Harper had gone to the corner shop 100 metres from her home, but never returned. Like the others, her disappearance was immediately reported to the police. Once again, a large and thorough investigation was done, and the shopkeeper provided the police with good information about the killer. A man had followed Sarah into the shop that day, but did not buy anything. The shopkeeper gave the police the description of the man. On the 19th of April, Sarah's partially dressed body was found in a river near Nottingham, 70 miles from where she was abducted. They could tell that she had died from drowning shortly after being taken, and as with the other girls, she was a victim of sexual assault and her arms had been bound. Once again, this was not far from where the other 2 girls were recovered, and the area became known as the Midlands Triangle, or the Murder Triangle, as the police linked all 3 cases and announced they were looking for a serial killer. So, I don't quite know exactly how far apart everything was, but it was, a triangle in the Midlands.
When the site, as part of the UK, we're not actually that big.
No.
In all fairness, compared to sort of, America and Europe, we are pretty small. So a murder triangle where things are within an hour of each other is probably fairly decent. It's not like I need to be within like 10 miles.
No, they narrowed it down fairly well.
And there, you said 26th of 1986 this one was.
Yeah.
And the last 2 were...
So it was 1981 was the first one that was in Ireland. 1982 for the second one, 1983 for the third. This one was 1986.
Oh, okay. I was, in my head, even though I knew that you'd say the dates, I felt like they were closer together. But fair for them to put that together, but because in my
I
head I
think
was
it
like,
makes
oh, if
it
they were
even
close.
more impressive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if they were like within the same like year or couple of years. I mean, they are a couple of years if you, but technically from the second murder to this murder, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
So, not that I wouldn't immediately go to the thought of a serial killer because the cases are quite similar in terms of the girls' deaths, but impressive to think that they've kind of put it together after 5 years.
Yeah, no, I think so. Okay, we are, spoiler, coming to the arrest, but we have a bit of a story beforehand. On the 14th of July 1990, in a village on the Scottish border, David Herx was cutting his grass on his front garden. He sees his neighbour's child, a 6-year-old daughter, walk past on her way back from meeting her friend. On the other side of the road, there is a delivery van parked. And as the girl walks past the van on the furthest side from David, she appears to just vanish. The driver of the van quickly starts the engine and drives away. Immediately, David realises that he's just witnessed an abduction and calls the police. Within 6 minutes, the police arrive in the village and began taking David's statement. However, during them taking this statement, the van drives back towards the house. So I don't know if he just like turned around, but he decides to drive back. I don't know if he thought that they didn't see him, or questionable choice.
Yeah.
So the policeman runs out in front of the van and stops it. He then opens the back door to the van, where he initially sees what he just thinks is a pile of rags, but then he sees that the rags move. There is a girl in a sleeping bag with her wrists bound behind her back, her legs tied together, her mouth bound and gagged with sticking plaster, and a hood over her head. Had she been there any longer, she would have suffocated to death.
Oh, wow.
So he fully, and in 6 minutes, I think that's...
I mean, fair play.
Insanely
You wouldn't get that
quick.
kind of response time now, but...
No. But so what, in 10 minutes, this girl has been abducted, they've called the police has arrived, was taking the interview, and stopped the van and found this girl completely.
I was going to say, it's a crime of opportunity. So he has seen an opportunity to take somebody, taken her without thinking about the consequences. He probably had a delivery. That is when you're saying, oh, why was he so stupid to go and then come back in the same direction? He was probably dropping something off. He literally was probably like part of his delivery, like dropping something off, and then was like, oh, look, little girl walking down the road, let me just nab you, and then I've got to come back this way to do my other delivery. Don't worry, she's just in the back.
But maybe if you're abducting someone, just take a slightly different route. Like maybe don't go back to exactly where you.
But he might not have realised that there was somebody. I suppose, like you said, why would you go back past the place that you've actually taken her from? But at the same time, maybe he didn't realise that somebody had seen it or clocked that something had happened. Do you know what I mean? It's so stupid. It's so stupid, and I'm glad because obviously it saved her life. But
there is a thing of don't go back to the crime scene, but also just don't go back to the crime scene 10 minutes after you made it a crime scene.
Yeah, but good job, neighbour. Stay vigilant and when you see things that are weird, do a double take and maybe them. Just report them because it's okay.
No, this is he did a really good job.
I thought you were about to be like, well, something happened, something changed, and I was like, wait, what?
No. The neighbour was good. And which is why I put his full name in it. It was in the documentary. It's on Wikipedia, but he's a good guy. He is a good guy. But there is a twist in this.
Oh.
And this is when the Channel 5 documentary revealed that the girl that was abducted is the policeman's daughter.
No.
Yeah.
That's wild. The one that opened the door.
The one that opened the door. There was only, I think, only one
terrifying.
Police officer on that had attended.
That's why that guy got there in 6 minutes. That's why that guy got there in 6 minutes, for sure.
Well, yeah, maybe, because I don't know if they never said if he knew before he found her whether. But you would, if he knew it was her daughter.
There would be a call sign for child abduction, and they would have had to give an address.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, but at the same time, if he was just the closest officer, he probably just would have headed to the scene.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Maybe a bit of both. But imagine how wild that would be to open up that door and then find your kid.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, if you didn't have an inkling that it was your child, how fucking crazy that would feel. I would I would beat the shit out of Robert Black, and he wouldn't
because
have.
he's still there.
He's still there. Like I mean, if that was me opening the back, you would have to do a hell of a lot to restrain me from beating the shit out of him.
You need
Like
to call
police
on you.
Yeah, police brutality can go out the fucking window, because I would like throw away the badge and be like, nah, I'm not a police officer anymore. Like, I don't care. Take my job. I'm going to absolutely destroy this man. Because, like, yeah,
Yes.
fuck that.
Because there's also no way you can get around. He can't be like, oh, well, I didn't do it. She's in your van.
In your van, you're driving her around. She's bound and gagged in a sleeping bag, and she was about to suffocate. Like, there is no way that you can be like, oh, sorry. Oh, I just picked up this van from the depot, and the last person left this like child in it. Like, no,
Oh,
nope,
gosh.
nope.
So yeah, it's a pretty wild story.
That is wild.
It was evident that this was not the first time that this man had done this, and Robert Black was arrested. Obviously, it's evident to us because I've told you about 4 other murders before this, but to them it's a new thing. In the documentary, they described it. Oh, this is where other things about the profile. I thought I'd taken it out, but no, it's here. In the documentary, they described him as a classic offender, loner with failed relationships with adults, often living out of his van, and obsessed with children and pornography. Within a month of his arrest, he was tried and convicted for this last crime, so the one that he got arrested for, which he pled guilty to. But
I mean,
how can you not plead guilty to this?
If there was the audacity of having the gall to go, oh, I didn't do it, even though I was found by a police officer whose child it was in my van, would have been insanity.
With an eyewitness that saw him 5 minutes before.
Yeah, that would be something else.
Yeah.
To claim not guilty. Unless it was like a plea of insanity, because that's the only way you'd get out of it.
I suppose, but surely you still have to plead guilty. I don't really know how insanity pleas work. Do you still have to admit to it?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I think you can plead not guilty with a plea of, like, mental health, and it's basically saying that you weren't guilty of it because you weren't in your right mind. I'm Googling it. I think it does. It from at least from what the vibe I'm getting it is basically the insanity defense, also known as the mental disorder defense, is an affirmative defense by excuse in a criminal case, arguing that the defendant is not responsible for their actions due to a psychiatric disease at the time of their criminal act.
But they're admitting they did it.
But then the AI, but I don't always believe the AI, says is a specific type of not guilty plea. It is an affirmative defense which argues that the defendant should not be held criminally responsible for their actions due to a severe mental illness.
I still feel like I'm taking that as they did it, but they can't be held responsible for it.
Yeah, but that would then come under the idea of not guilty. Because if you can't hold somebody responsible, does that make sense? So the whole idea of being guilty is to hold that person responsible. Whereas, from at least from how I'm interpreting it, a insanity plea or a mental health disorder plea is then basically saying you cannot hold this person guilty because they were not in the right frame of mind to know what their actions were doing.
I suppose, but they're still admitting that they did it.
They're admitting that they did it, so they are saying, yes, I did this, but you can't hold me responsible, therefore you can't charge me with what would be considered right for a guilty verdict. Because, like, a not guilty verdict would give you different charges.
Yeah. Well, he pled guilty, so...
Yeah, doesn't fucking matter, because he's a fucking idiot, so... He
was sentenced to a mandatory life sentence for abduction and assault to the danger of life. It was a bit weird wording, but that is, like, quote-unquote what he was sentenced for. Whilst he was in prison, the police set about finding evidence to connect him to the other murders. He had a bedsit in North London, where they found a great number of pieces of evidence, from magazines to videos, centred around the direct abuse of female children. And again, that was a quote from the documentary. That's how they described it.
I don't know whether I actually do want the details. But did you say magazines and videos for the abuse of female young children?
Yeah.
Why does that stuff exist? Why does it exist? Or is it like newspaper articles of previous cases? Because either way...
No, I think you can get magazines. Yeah, why? I mean, people are sick. And also some of the videos, I think some of them he bought and some of them he cut them together. Like I don't know whether he cut previously bought videos together or if he It doesn't say he made the videos,
Yeah, I get
but
you.
it did say that he'd
Again,
like
just
splice them together. But yeah, it's awful.
alpacas and
It's
camels,
terrible.
alpacas and camels. It's just like, I like the good things at the beginning of the episode now, because it's the only thing keeping me sane when you find out that this kind of blur exists
I'm
in the world.
sorry.
It's fine, don't worry. Alpacas and camels, carry on.
If it helps, this case, again, remember the computerization of the
Less
notes?
like,
This is a turning point.
turning point for being able to find them. We are living in a very horrible world of deepfake right now
Yeah.
with AI. So we're probably in a worse place for things like that existing, to be honest, now and in this day and age. But at least when you do it, we'll hopefully be able to find you easier. That's my silver linings of the garbageness that is humanity. So
Yeah.
please continue.
Yeah, it's bad. The police went through every single item in Robert Black's bedsit, but they could not find any forensic evidence that linked him to the murdered children. Instead, they had to connect him through other evidence. Robert had kept every receipt, which was quite handy for the police because they could use these receipts, especially the petrol receipts, combined with the routes of the deliveries he made to build up a map of where he'd been over the years. So he kind of shot himself in the foot by having really good record keeping.
To be fair, if you're self-employed, which you could have been maybe as a delivery driver, you have to keep your fuel receipts.
Apparently,
For the tax man.
He kept every receipt, like whether he
okay.
bought anything, he kept it. The records that they'd put into the database over the years came in clutch during this time, as they were able to cross-reference the witness statements with the records that they'd gained about Robert over the years, and were able to connect him with the victims at the last scene locations. So basically, they were able to put in things like white van, and did anyone see a white van in the last scene location of some of these victims? And they were like, oh yeah, that witness said they saw a white van. They also said this was the number plate. And yes, that was the number plate of Robert Black's van at the time.
Okay.
And he'd got petrol down the road because he has this receipt for his petrol 20 minutes before this.
Yeah.
Or lemonade or whatever.
This is good detectiving.
The police proposed a compelling case based on similar fact evidence, where they could take the evidence from the abduction that he was arrested for and show how it was identical to the 3 murders. In 1944, Robert Black stood trial for the murder of Suzanne Maxwell, Caroline Hogg, and Sarah Harper. He was found guilty, and he was charged with 3 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of murder, 3 counts of preventing lawful burial of a body. And then there was also a kidnapping that he'd attempted, but he didn't achieve it. It was an attempted kidnapping. And he also got charged with that attempted kidnapping in this time as well.
And you said he pled guilty to these?
It doesn't say in this, but he was found guilty.
Okay.
But if you want to look into the kidnapping, it was Teresa Thornhill. I didn't include it in this just because my notes were getting a little bit long, but I had done the research on it at one point. He was sentenced to a term of life imprisonment for each of these accounts. So it was 10 life imprisonments. It was harder to convict Robert Black of Jennifer Cardy's murder. However, after years of investigation, in 2011, a new connection placed Robert in Northern Ireland along the road where Jennifer was found. So the case went to trial. He was found guilty of Jennifer's abduction, sexual assault, and murder, and was given a further life sentence.
So what's he on now? 12?
Well, he got more, I think. So he got 10 for the murders, 1 for that abducted kidnapping that got him arrested, and then 12. And then 1 for this as well. So yeah, 12 life sentences. However, he didn't suffer through 12 life sentences because he died in prison in 2016 of natural causes. And there was quite a lot of people in the documentary that were like, we kind of wish he had suffered a bit more because he got off a bit too easy.
I would just go, if not from natural causes, then, a little bit of prison battery.
Yeah.
It's a prison violence.
Prison violence, or something just slow and painful.
Yeah. I was Googling in the background, sorry, I got distracted, but I was Googling in the background because obviously life sentences, sometimes in certain, like a life sentence in the US, I feel like is only so many years, but in the UK, I wasn't sure. So, like, there's like
If
a
you get
minimum
12
term.
of them.
Yeah, oh yeah, he would have died in prison regardless. But yeah, so
like, even if you got 12 of, like, I don't know, 5-year sentences, that's still 60 years.
yeah, but I just knew that sometimes in certain countries a life sentence can sometimes typically mean like a certain period. Sometimes it's like 15 years, sometimes it's 30 years, because it's deemed the length of the life, which
Yeah.
makes no sense because obviously
I don't get it.
I don't get it. But apparently, like, the UK life sentence is typically the rest of the individual's life.
Well, that's good.
But there is a minimum term at least. 30 years is for sexual or sadistic murders or killing during a robbery, weirdly. 25 years for murders involving a knife or a weapon, and 15 years for other murders. Again, sorry, it's the AI overview, so it could be very different if I actually went into the full research of it, but I don't.
Not on the podcast.
Not on the podcast. I'm obviously doing very, very quick Googling in the background because I'm like, I want to know this. But yeah.
Yeah.
12 life sentences, I knew that originally, obviously, I knew from that he would spend the rest of his life in prison regardless. But
Yeah.
I was like, 12 life sentences, if it was a minimum term of 15 years each time or whatever.
Yeah, is a lot.
Is a lot either way. But like 3 life sentences, you could be out in 45 years, and that could be someone still being alive in that period.
Yeah, I think he was like 44 when he got arrested. So if it had been 3 life sentences, he could have technically still been alive. But
yeah.
no,
Fuck
there was
Robert
no
Black.
way. Yeah, fuck Robert Black. And so, yeah, that is the case of Robert Black, who murdered Jennifer Cardy, Suzanne Maxwell, Caroline Hogg, Sarah Harper, and he had attacked the policeman's daughter, but we don't know their names. And he molested many more that he was arrested for previously. And there was
so he was also a molester. Wow. So
he was a molester from like childhood onwards or teenage years onwards. I didn't care to put in his backstory because I was like, fuck this guy.
No, he's garbage.
Obviously, I do care that he molested people. That wasn't good. But there was a whole sob story where he molested because he was molested, and I was like, fuck this guy, I don't care.
No. There's no justification to do harm.
And there is also a few unsolved cases that have been attributed to him. So there was one, Jeanette Tate, I think her name was. I could be wrong, I didn't note it down. But they'd gathered all the evidence and her body was never recovered, but they had enough evidence to say he did it and that she was murdered. But he died a week before they were going to take it to trial.
Oh, that's garbage for the family.
So, yeah. And I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. It was definitely something Tate, but I didn't write it down in my notes. But there's a few other unsolved cases as well.
I think I made a comment earlier which I said there's no justification for harm, and then I just sort of stopped talking. I want to add to the end of that, harm in this context.
Yeah.
If the police officer had battered Robert Black, it was completely justified.
Yeah. In this specific case where you've done it. It's not good. We don't condone violence.
I don't condone violence. However, there are, I'm sure, times where violence can be justified. And if it was you meeting Robert Black in that circumstance, I feel like it would be 1000% justified. And if that police officer did keep his composure, because, it's part of the job for him to present as a certain, then fair play, because
he's doing better.
Yeah.
Doing better than most of us would.
But yeah, thank you. Sadly, I do stick by my guns of you're not very nice to yourself when you pick some of these cases.
I'm sorry, not all of the cases can be about elks getting drunk.
If it helps, my next case is not about elks getting drunk. It is just a good old-fashioned murder.
I was going to say, is it a bad one?
I didn't pick it because it was bad. I picked it because, weirdly, I don't want to
I don't just pick them because they're bad.
Okay,
I picked this one because it was like a case that changed the way they investigated, but also because it was a delivery driver that he was murdering people or murdering children in one place and then disposing of their bodies somewhere completely different, and they still managed to solve it. It did take
I get you.
20 odd years, but
Yeah, it's a very good case, and it has like you said, changes in things in history that were like big markers in the sort of like
It wasn't just like, this is
British
terrible,
timeline.
great.
British timeline of how we've solved cases and like have more evidence and stuff. Yeah, it's really good. Which I have similar vibes, I suppose, for the next case, which is quite nice.
Okay, well, should we just go straight into it and you let me know what your teasers are for the next case?
Yep, I have to be really careful as well because I've written the name of the person involved, like at the top.
Don't read them out.
Don't read the name. So the teasers are coercion, DNA, and ancestry.com.
I mean, you've just given the most generic teasers.
But
Other
again,
than Ancestry.com, the most generic teasers.
But when you see the case, you'll see why. Because again, it's one of those cases where they're, apart from giving away the case itself, those were the best teasers. To be like, this is what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll forgive you.
Well, I mean, yours was delivery driver, Scottish border, and don't tell me because I will remember it. Tell me I forgot.
Bike.
Why was it bike?
Because Jennifer Cardy had her bike was.
Oh, I'm so wait. So my teasers are generic, but bike.
The bike was in it. Your teasers are
DNA. DNA is in the case. DNA is an important part of the case.
Coercion.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing about the case.
Sorry, that is most of the cases in the last 20 years.
It's a really important part of the case.
Uh-huh.
It is. It's integral. Just like bike was that I forgot.
It was because she got stolen when she was riding her bike home.
Well, somebody gets caught out because of something, or something weird happens because of the DNA. So you'll just have to wait and see.
Huh?
I mean, coercion is pretty obvious.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do with my teasers. Don't call me out like so brutally, okay? Rude.
Funny.
Which crime time my bestie. See you later, bye.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, oh, I think Jess is now mad at me. We might have to end the podcast.
No, you're good. We're all good. But anyways, it has been a lovely episode. Thank you very much for bringing us this case, bestie. And I think this is episode 13. Is that right?
Episode 13.
Episode 13. Unlucky 13.
Unlucky for some. Unlucky for Robert Black.
He's already in a bin somewhere.
Yeah.
We hope he's in a bin. We didn't need to keep him
No, just disposed of somewhere. But hopefully this episode is not unlucky for us and everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. As said, we are Crime Time with My Bestie on TikTok and Instagram. And you can look at all
You don't know what to do now that we've said it already.
I've ruined everything. We've added it to the beginning now, and the end feels so chaotically weird. It's like, I've already said this. I'm sorry to repeat myself. But we are on social media, and you can catch us on TikTok and Instagram.
Thank you, bestie.
Thanks, bestie.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay. Wait.
Bye.
Bye. Did we do it?